Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Claudia Casali, and I am the director of the International Museum of Ceramics in Faenza and responsible of the Faenza Ceramic Biennale. As you know, due to the pandemic situation, we have to cancel the 61st Faenza Prize as exhibition and competition. Together with the jury, composed by Judith Schwartz, Frederic Baudet, Ranti Tian, Alberto Salvadori, and Irene Biolchini, we decided to create a special edition to support the artists and to promote their work in this very difficult moment. So we organize a series of talks each Thursday, starting from today, and an online promotion with a photographic post for each protagonist. These talks will be chaired each week by the jurors, and you could participate sending questions or comments on our chat. At the end of each presentation, we will choose some of them to address the artist or to read to the public. For this very special edition, a book will be published to document this event, and this book will be devoted to the 55 selected artists. Not an exhibition catalogue, but a monography on contemporary ceramic works. This book will be presented by the jury to the public on March 27th, the date supposed to be the opening of the exhibition. And the book will be edited by Liori, bilingual, and it will be available on our bookshop, on our e-commerce, and of course in all the libraries. For this special edition, last March, Sara Paioncini designed a new logo of the prize, the one you saw in all our communication in orange and blue. So thanks, Sara, for your design. As I said, this is a very special edition for a very special moment of our history. Today, we start this first talk, and we have the opportunity and the pleasure to talk with Safia Hijos from France.
Hello.
Paolo Porelli from Italy.
Hello, everybody.
Marie Roos from Germany.
Hello.
Roy and Erez Maayan from Israel.
Hello. Hello.
4 artists selected in the category over 35. As you probably know, they have a complete different languages and approaches to the ceramic material, but we will see it in this presentation. Remind that this edition of the Faenza Prize was dedicated to sculpture, installation, and performance. So let's start our conversation with Safia. I would like you to present shortly your artistic career with some images, and introduce us the work selected for the Faenza Prize, Supernature 10. Thank you, Safia.
Okay. But first, I'm French. I'm 45 years old, and I studied in Brussels in the school named Lacambre a few years ago. And last year I received the ex-aequo prize of la Biennale of Valoris in France, where I met you last year, Claudia. And mainly I'm working with history of ceramics, quoting a lot of the 18th century period, and mainly the Rococo style, which I think very fun. So, I'm playing with this for a few years now. Maybe we can start with images, even if the first is not at all Baroque. But this is a work I present also in Korea, and it's a memorial for dead people in a village. And yes, it is about human condition. And but it's interesting for me to present this work because it's a wall installation, and that's coming a lot in my global presentation, as you can see all along. So yeah, we can move on. Next. So that's again a wall installation, but there you can see this is more Rococo because I'm using console made by hand and also tea light holders. But it's a French word written on the tea light holders, but this is not a name such as Sophie or Mark, or it is insoles. So it is yes, an installation between love and hate, because you can see there is a shape of earth, really kitsch stuff, in fact. But when the candles are enlightened, well, you can see such word as, yeah, I'm sorry to say that, but asshole, and so forth. So this is a bit ironic, of course. Yes, we can move on. Next.
The double face of love.
Yes. We say in France, l'amour vache. Yeah, bon. That's again an installation, made on a very short time. I was working in an old record factory, so that's why there are sounds and plates scattered on the floor. And I wanted to evoke the archaeological theory, the idea of the ancient voices of the Greek Athens potters engraved in the pot by accident, in fact, and that we can hear voices from 2,000 years ago. Yeah, that's not so clear. Sorry. Yeah, next image. That's again, we are coming back to Rococo styles, because this is a surtout in French, and there is a play with the word surtout pas d'amour, above all no love, but a surtout is a center table piece, and that was used to decorate the banquet, the big dinner for the royals and princes during the 18th centuries. And so it is also a salute to birds and a collection of ceramic birds that we can see in the porcelain cabinet, the curiosity cabinet. Yeah, and it's also a bit, there is no sense also in my work because parrots are not standing on palm trees, so that's like a joke.
Yes, but you always connect this your work to the beautiful tradition of French porcelain. So this the Rococo is a link to arrive to your inner perception, inner garden, as you said, no?
Yeah, perfectly. I think it's I like to dig into history of ceramics. It is a pleasure, and well, I think it gives senses to what I do.
Yeah.
Next. We can move on the next slide if you want. Oh, that's tulip vase. I don't know if you know what it is, but in Holland, back in Holland, in Delft, we used to love tulips, and there are such fanciful shape of vases for that specific flower. And I wanted also to play with that shape, but with different color, and also a spirit of postmodernism. And Memphis Studio, our Italian friends, played a lot with that. So the color and the mixing of also not so tasty. In fact, this is. It can be a bit ugly because there are too much colors.
Yes, because the original one is just white and blue. So the contrast is very important in your case.
Yeah. And it's working with colors and also with scales to evoke a plant and the skin of animals, also ready to eat flowers. Next. So that's work that has been showed during Valerie's Biennale in 2019. And yes, so it is also linked to what I've done before with the console on the wall and the parrots on the palm trees. But this, I just gave up the bird, or I dismissed the birds and just focus on plants. But I wanted it not to be, it's a garden, but it's also animal, between vegetable and animal. And it's also a work on color and glazing, because there are a lot of super a lay of glazes. I spend a lot of time doing glazing, and I want to have an enchanted garden with can be as beautiful as emeralds. You know, there is on the stone, on this pressure stone, there are some garden also, and yes, this color I like. Yes, what can I be said? There are a lot of yes, I wanted to talk about Luca della Robbia, because it's an Italian service from the past, and I was looking for such color, and so it's a joy. Of course, it's a work to be very aesthetic. I was looking for beauty, in fact, in that work. Yeah, big challenge. But it's. I have one such a long piece in my flat, and it's so nice to live with such work. It's not as aggressive as a Love and Hate piece, for example. It's more quiet. Maybe it's age coming on my shoulder. I don't know.
It arrives to the work you presented to the Faenza Prize.
Yes, and the work, we can move on the next. That's a more recent work I've been doing in a School of Fine Art in Limoges, in the center of France, where you can find beautiful porcelain, of course. So these pieces are molded in porcelain, and they are also a tribute to Johann Joachim Kantler, which who was as a sculptor of Meissen, the famous one in the 18th, and it was a focus on wings and the feathers. I was invited in the molding studio, and so it is a repetition of the same molding, but I didn't want to do the same, so I was just playing with the rhythm of the feathers, to create a kind of movement and variation, yes. And this is also, I like birds. Yes, it's not at all that. It's also ceramic and very rigid, but I think it's a bit a musical work, or at least I wanted this to be in that way. And this is also, we cannot see it in the picture, but it's also quite big pieces for porcelain, because it's 60 centimeters after firing, so it was not so easy to
quite big
to fire it. But in this big fine art school, there are a huge kiln, so I enjoyed it. So yes, we can move on. Next picture, Stefania, and that's the piece I wanted to show in Faenza, which is a kind of sequel of Valerie's pieces you've seen before, but it is the shape is much more elongated, very thin, and in fact it is almost 3 meters long. So that was a challenge, but I cheat, of course, because it's 10 elements which are superposed one another on top of one another. It's also the same story, but with a different intention, because I wanted to put ceramic into space more clearly, to work with architecture, and with that proposal, I think I can play with space, and my intention was to surround the whole body by giant plants or giant ceramic coming from the ceiling. Also, it's about invasion, of course. This is ceramic invasion. Yes, it's what I want to do now, and what I continue to do in my studio is working with small element, or rather small element, but combined with one with each other, I can create something bigger, or at least to have an impact in my environment or my surroundings and in the space. So that's my
new challenge.
My work, yes, my challenge nowadays. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, and it's also. I think I've said what I wanted to say.
Well, thank you, Safia. It's very interesting, your work, and I really appreciate the work you presented for the Biennale, because as you said, it is a new involvement in the space, and the new idea of getting in touch with the architecture that probably you didn't approach before. So thanks a lot for your presentation. And time is elapsing, and we move on with Paolo Porelli. Paolo Porelli, who can introduce his work, his career, and
hello, everybody.
Yes, for the Faenza Prize, he presented a special work together with Titarelli Ruboli, and he will introduce us at the end of this presentation. The title is Reflex or Reflex? You stop it. I don't have the connection with the Paolo. I don't know what happened.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. You know,
I think we have some problem with your connection, Paolo. Okay, I can say something.
Myself introducing. It's fine now.
Okay. Okay, I can say something. Paolo took a degree at the Academy of Fine Arts in Rome. And in 1990, he opened his own ceramic studio in Rome. And can you check if now your internet connection is available, Paolo? Mm-hmm. No.
The signal is full.
Okay, we can, I think that your connection is not going well, so we can move to Marie Roos in order to try to have a better connection with Paolo. Stephanie from Germany. We know your work very well, your figurative sculpture. And yes, you presented for the Faenza Prize this beautiful sculpture at your back. And if you'd like to start your presentation, we are pleased to listen to you.
Thank you, Claudia. I'm very happy to be here. It's my pleasure for the opportunity to present my work. And I start to explain a little bit in general, and then I go to the Faenza Prize work. So this is a work from 2017, and I chose it because it shows why the human being is my topic. The first reason is I like human physiognomy and how the body reflects the inner attitude. So body language and facial expression is very interesting. And even if you try not to communicate, you're sending out very little signals of movement and tension. And I'm interested in these little signals. And I especially like these natural moments and these hidden feelings. So next, please. The next, yeah. The second reason for working on the human figure is that people fascinate me as social and cultural being. It is especially interesting how people define their own identity and role in society. This cultural identity is expressed in clothing. So you can say I have a special focus on the robe figure. This is my work, Female Hybrid, or in German, Hybridin. I call her better like this, because I like the suffix. I worked on the question how clothing is connotated with a specific gender. And I combined it with the Greek mythological story about the Minotaurus, that is a being with a human body and bull's head. So he's a hybrid too. I refer to the Minotaurus as a painting. Oh, okay. She switched already. Oh. So this work, colors, it's my son. Now we are back, okay. I wanted to say that you can see in this work, it's a very typical way of how I'm working, because I'm first collecting stories and pictures, and then I combine them. And they mingle in the picture, and I make sketches, and then I build it in clay. Next, please. This is the portrait bust of my son. I made a series of portrait busts in 2017 and altered them with different symbols and signs. So in this case, the German flag. When I made it, I was thinking about the shifting of meaning of signals and signs, because they depend on history and on the context. In this case, it was I was thinking about the German flag. You haven't seen it before 2006 in the private sphere, and it was assigned to the right-wing scene. So you never put your flag in your garden or on your car. And when we had the soccer championship, it came like a mass phenomenon to Germany. It was like a hysteric use of the flag. And since then, it is back to Germany. So the next, please. This is classic Molotov from 2016. I choose it for two reasons. The first reason is to show I use gold in my work, just in a little amount, to emphasize pieces or to rise them to another level. That roots in my liking for the medieval sculptures, where the gold is like a symbol for the divine. And the second reason is that you can see it's a very good example for this folding of clothing and the underlying forms under the fabric. That's a sculptural topic I'm very interested in. So now we can go to the, yes, this is my work. Yeah, this is the work for the Faenza Prize. And I will describe it a little and give some material and technical information. And then I explain how this image came to my mind. So you see a bald-headed man in black clothes with his Springer boots and white laces in. And on a leash he has a white pit bull with a spiked collar. And on his left hand he holds a girl in a blue dress with a necklace of 12 golden stars. That is also a flag, that is a European flag. And she's dragged by him and raising her right arm, like the Nazi greeting. It was a very common greeting in Nazi Germany. Today it is forbidden. The figures are standing on a square pedestal with a golden sign in the front where the title is written, a bit like in a museum. And the size is 59 centimeters in height and 38 centimeters in square. So we can go to the next. I show you some close-ups of the work to see better the details and the surface of the piece. I'm working hollow with coils, and usually I don't glaze, just when I want to emphasize a piece or if I prepare a surface for a luster or a decal. The color is an engobe, and this use of color, I try to use it economical. So I don't use color if it doesn't add kind of information to the piece. In this case, this was just the black for the clothing, the white pit bull, and the blue dress. that was essential for me. The material is a stoneware and non-ceramics, it's just the wire on the collar and the leather leash. This is also a work where I combined different found objects from my internet journey, and I will explain the elements one by one and how I melted it then. We can go to the next slide then. Okay. The bald-headed man, the neo-Nazi, is a repeating character in my work. And I made 2 works already, 2016, called White Power. This is the first one. And the next one is White Power 2. You can switch the slide, yeah. I'm interested in this group, how it is working, and the dress code. And I do research about these tattoos and symbols and how they develop. And it sounds funny when I say it's interesting, because it's not just interesting, it's very scary if you look very close. But I try to deal with that. So the next, please. This is another piece, it's very old, from 2012. Also Europa and the Ball, where I use the story from the Greek mythology also. And I will tell the story very short for them who doesn't know the story. So it's god Zeus, and he decided to seduce Europa, and he transformed himself in a white bull. And Europa liked the bull and mounted on his back. And then Zeus ran to the sea, swam to Crete, and then he revealed his identity. And Europa became the queen of Crete. That's the story of our namesake in Europe. So I just like these pictures, and in general, the mythological stories are very interesting because they have the feature to picture us as humans with our dark sides. So the next, please. So the white pit bull is, of course, my new casting for the white bull. In real life, this dog is a commonly used symbol of the right-wing scene to get this expression of being terrifying and violent. The next. Here you can see the backside of the piece. On the backside of the hoodie is a print. I found a poster from 1917, from the First World War. And I will shortly explain the story. Can you show the next, please? Yes, this is a poster. It's a propaganda poster from the US after Germany made the invasion of Belgium. And the German militarism is depicted here as a gorilla with a Pickelhaube, this pointed helmet. And he has a club in his hand with the word Kultur, means culture, and this disheveled woman on his arm. And the target of the poster was to recruit soldiers for the Entente. The essence for me was this club with the word culture, because it's a very common argument of racists to say, the foreigners, they are destroying our culture. as if the one culture is better than another culture. And the other thing was the woman that reminded me on Europa with her blue dress. Next, please. She's similar to my Europa. For me, the reaction of Europe against this inner threatening seems weak and helpless, and that's why my Europa is captured as a little girl in a ballet dress. She's nice to watch, but weak. So this is why I made this work. This was this association between the story of Europa's namesake and the development in Europe, where neo-Nazis are newly forming groups and racism and white supremacy is back in party politics. We have in Germany since 2017 a right-wing party back in the parliament, and they are building networks all over Europe. This is for me very threatening, and this was the initial point to make this work. Usually, I would say I'm not a political artist. I'm working about groups and social psychology, and but what you can see is that this use of culture as the story that groups are telling each other to generate this familiar feeling includes always we are a group and the others are not in our group. And this is the dark side of groups. This is my core message, I would say. So
thank you, Stephanie. This is
my
a
pleasure.
very actual work, and can we say that we are facing a new abduction of Europe today? With this work is taken a source from the past, from the mythology, but it is very actual in one sense, and it reflects what is the history that we are facing in these days and in the recent months. So thank you very much, and let's pass to Roy and Erez, and we hope that Paolo will join us with his Wi-Fi connection. So Roy and Erez are brothers, first of all, but an artistic duo, as I prefer to introduce them. They have different careers, but they work together for creating ceramic performances. Could you introduce your career and present Play With Me, which was selected as performance for our prize? Your place.
Hey Claudia, thank you for having us. I'm Erez Maayan. I'm a potter. My life is next to ceramics. I collaborate and exhibit regularly around the world. In this case, and many other cases, I'm collaborating with my brother, my younger brother, Erez Maayan, which is a performer artist and a researcher. He will introduce himself. Okay, I see the presentation already. This project called White Cube was performed in various places around the world, in this case in Korea in 2015. The project is two brothers, two men, two Israelis, from different fields of art, going for a long period, over a day, over 24 hours, to a white cube of 3 over 3 over 3 meters, having 300 kilos of clay inside the cube. We have a door to go out, which each and one of us can go every 2 hours for a few minutes. And then there's a window to the outside that the audience can see us, and we can block some of the window or even all of it using clay. The clay, which this is the medium we picked for this project, help us to investigate our relationship as two men, as two brothers, as two artists from different fields. It helps us to measure time, to measure space. For instance, we can use different kind of different weights of clay to measure time. I can work on the clay with different weights of clay to measure time. For each hour in the cube, we have a different examination, different way of connecting, and also to connect the crowd outside. If we can move to the next slide. Yeah, that's the third time. The first time was in Belgium, in Anden. The third time was in Cluj, Romania, 2016. So the white cube remained the same measures, but we did adjust to the public, to the state that hosts us. We use local clay each and every time. We ate the local food. We used local songs, usually children's song, as a time capsula or a time limit. And one of the interesting things was the reactions of the audience in different countries. For instance, the Koreans were very interesting. They got us food and vessels from the outside. And the Romanian crowd was quite suspicious. They were very embarrassed to talk or to communicate. Even though they were interesting, I know from the backstage that they did ask questions, they did wanted to know, but they didn't want to approach and ask any question almost. Maybe it's a language barrier, I don't know. Erez, if you can introduce yourself and next project. You're mute.
Yes. Now I'm good? Can you all hear me? Okay. First of all, thank you for having us. It's a great honor to be here. As you saw from the previous project, the one that Roy introduced, much of our interest is in relationship, and we mediate relationship through clay, through material. We did that in White Cube and in a different way in Clay Traders, which was a ceramics walking performance exhibited in Anden, Belgium, in Valoris, France, and in Israel, in Jerusalem Museum. In this performance, we created several hundred clay bars, like gold bars made of clay. It's a material imitation of a gold bar. And we walked around wherever we exhibited and asked people to trade it with us for something. This piece basically deals with the impossibility of making new relationships in this contemporary world. It's almost impossible to meet new people, and it was possible not very long ago. Now everyone with their mobiles or whatever, but they don't communicate. So we decided to emphasize it by offering to buy it. We buy relationship. We give you this object that imitates gold made of clay, which was in many cultures, ancient cultures, used as commerce, for commerce, and we buy this talk, and we asked people to give us something they have on themselves that has a story. Basically, we wanted to hear from people something about themselves and to know a bit more, like to have some kind of meaningful yet brief relationship with them. Throughout the performance, we had a presentation of all bars, which were gradually exchanged with photos of us with our new friends. This means gold to us. So this piece is an ongoing performance, which creates an ongoing installation process. It's like, the installation is being made throughout the performance. So this is that performance.
Yeah, I remember this performance in Valoris last in 2019 during the Biennale, and we can say that your work is yes, of course, a performance, but it's also an anthropological and social work, looking at also the psychological reaction of the people, because I remember perfectly that somebody was astonished and they didn't know what to offer you, and it was very funny to see just the reaction and the faces of the people, because it was like if you were going to steal them something, and you were asking something, share, no? And I really like this this way of interaction with the people.
In a way, we made an excuse to meet people, to interact with people. And the excuse was the clay. The idea, we don't want anything like that has financial value. We want emotional value. We could get a handkerchief from you. We can get a tissue paper if it has a story on it. And we just talk until we know something more about you. This is the value of our commerce act, basically.
And now we arrive to the work for the Faenza Prize. What was supposed to be?
Yeah, you can hear me. So we went back to our childhood. I'm the older brother by 3 years. We grew up in the suburb of Tel Aviv, which is in the middle of Israel, mid-class, 2 boys. In the 80s, playing outside with balls with our friends, different time, no social medias, no internet. The big switch in this video and hopefully performance one day is we changed the regular ball we used as child to the medium, the main medium we use these days, which is clay. And clay, of course, in his it's breakable. This is unfired clay, so even more. And with that, we talk about the fragility of our relationship, of any brothers' relationship in families, and if you want to go global, of course, between, 2 people in general. Do you want to say something, Erez?
No, it's just that we play catch like we did as kids, but the ball has changed. And the ball, the relationship is embedded in the material. Every time the ball breaks, something between us breaks. It's a metaphor. For our relationship, yeah.
In general, and you were supposed to play with the public?
No, just between us. But the public, of course, is around us and is a part of the performance always. There's always a contest between us. Even, we love each other. I think Erez is one of the biggest part in my life, even though I'm married with 4 kids. Erez is blood. Erez is, the biggest, I think, part of my life. But of course, there's always a contest. Even, now we're editing a new video. It's always, so how many minutes I'm in, how many minutes Erez is in, who's winning, who's taking. It's always win. I mean, we're in our 40s. And so, of course, it's with a smile, but it's in the background.
All 3 performances that we have just shown have the same process of art making. They start as a performance, as an action, as a live action, which is followed by an installation that is composed of the remains of the relationships that were created throughout it. So it's part of our methodology of creation as well.
I have a question, because a very simple question. How much is difficult to work as a duo and as brother?
It's mainly fun and interesting. My wife would say this is an excuse for us to travel all around the world.
Okay.
Not just that. I really believe in dialogue in art making. There's something so solistic about art making, especially about clay making. So solistic. You're with yourself, you're with your own thoughts, with your own ideas. And by forcing ourselves to interact, to make a dialogue, we get out of our head, and we usually reach ideas that none of us would have got there if we were just doing it alone. So for me, it's a great pleasure. It's the methodology I usually work in, coming from performance, which is usually a collaboratory act. I think it's for me, it's very important, and I'm so excited and happy to be doing that with my brother, with the person that is closest to me. And yes, we do fight a lot, but it's part of it. We put it inside the performance. Ball breaking is fighting. It's life is art, life is art, and it goes on throughout all our performances.
Okay. That's great. That's great. I think it is more difficult to work with brothers, because normally you know them better, and you always ask them to do more than it is necessary. But in your case, I think you have a good balance, and you can manage your ideas in a very perfect situation with a classical duo, which is which must have harmony, otherwise the duo is not working. So thank you very much for your presentation, and yes, we will hope to see this performance soon, hopefully in Faenza. We never know.
Inshallah.
Okay, inshallah. Oh, let's pass to Paolo. If the connection is working, and we hope so. And as I was saying, Paolo took a degree in painting at the Academy of Fine Arts in Rome. Paolo, could you introduce your work, your special installation for the Faenza Prize, and hopefully that everything is going on with this connection?
The voice is always on, I think. I'm asking if...
We have some problems, so
Claudia, can you hear me?
Now, yes.
Okay.
But it's stopping, so I am asking to put the PowerPoint on, and we can show some images, and I will introduce them. Okay?
Okay.
Stefania, could you please put the presentation? Okay, here we have some images of the work by Paolo. Probably, Paolo, if you can switch the camera and just put the audio, it could be better for your connection. And let's try to talk.
Okay. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I start with a couple of picture. The first is the show, the contemporary gallery in Rome,
with the exhibition created by Nino Caruso. It was a great exhibition in Rome.
Organized in the Italian artists, and I was involved in this show was and so not just
yes, this exhibition in Rome was a very big show where many Italian artists were invited for the ceramic sculpture, and Paolo was one of them. And let's go on, because I think that the connection is not going on well. And Paolo worked in different occasions also for residencies in China. As we know, he is not just an artist, but he has a very special studio laboratory for residency for artists in Rome called Creta. And as artist, he's inviting other artists, but he's also taking place into residency program like the one I was suggesting in China in 2017, where he focused on this idea of a little sculpture made in porcelain and with this special luster that was created for him in China. And yes, let's move on. It was in Jindesjian and in Dewa, this production, and it reminds me a kind of religious sculpture that were used in a different situation and in different era in both in China and, for example, in Italy, especially in for religious and spiritual purposes. And let's go on. And a special part of his work was made at EKWC together with Ranti Tian in Holland, and where he produced these important pieces, these Protestant Madonnas, for an exhibition curated by André Groneveld at the Firma Vandry in Gouda, if I read well. And that was a very special project that took a lot of time, and it was a very special production that he brought also in the Biennale in Manises in 2019, and at the Ceramic European Festival Prize in Germany. And what can we say? Let's move on with the images, and here we have other examples of his work, of these small figurines, but which are the connection of different situations, both cultural and political, and sometimes also religious figurine, all put together to create this very big, important installation that recalls our daily life. And let's move on. This was the contemporary residency in Arch. And then we arrive to the work presented for the Faenza Prize. And I don't know if it is reflex or reflex. It is a joke. And it was created in a very special Italian place, and with a very special person who is Maurizio Titarelli Ruboli. In Italy, he is very well known, especially for the production of lusterware. And it is an ancient workshop in the center of Italy, a luster workshop which is active since 1878, so long time. And let's move on with the images. This is a work made in Holland, if I'm not wrong. And he produced these figurines, this sculpture that were later on lustered with Maurizio Titarelli and these figurines were 3D printing in clay muds. So it's a special production that was created with an ancient technique, which is the lusterware, and a very modern one, which is the technique of 3D printing. And as I said, and always says, that 3D printing is a way to arrive to something. It's not hiding or taking away the creativity of the artist. In this case, he used a combination of iridescent gold and ruby red, and you see it is very shine, and it's a very particular color. And if you have a look at the back of the screen of Paolo, you will see the installation he prepared for the Faenza Prize. Let's move on with the picture. These are the singular details of this installation. Let's move on. And you see all these figurines have a particular color, but are also cut in some parts. And this is the installation he presented for the Faenza Prize, and which was selected for this exhibition. It is a very special project, also in this case made with a very important collaboration with an important workshop, Italian workshop. So I hope to have said everything. I'm so sorry, Paolo, for this connection, and let's try if you want to say something.
So sorry about the connection. You did a great job.
So we had different comments on our talk of today. This was the first. And as I said to the artist before starting, you are an experience in this sense because you are the first. And the comment, in any case, were very positive. And it is a way to meet the artist. It is a way to show what is the research and the activity made during this year and during the last month by the artist, sometimes in a very special situation. And as we saw for Safia, he made a new work with wings that are very metaphoric for this period. And all of us are in a particular situation, and I hope that this talk will create a sort of new way of approaching the community of artists, of ceramists, the community of clay, let's say. And I think that we can be a sort of model that can be adopted also by other situations, other competition in this very special moment. We don't have, we have comments, as I said, positive, but we don't have particularly question. So I think that your presentation were important and were exhaustive for this moment. And so I would like to give you a new invitation for next Thursday. The chairman will be Irene Biolchini, guest curator of our museum and freelance on contemporary art. And she will interview Victor Ajus from Malta, Thi Jung from Korea, Frank Lewis from Germany, and Ekaterina Panikanova from Russia. So it's it has been a great pleasure to meet you all virtually, and we hope to have other new occasion of talk. And all of these talks will be till the 18th of March. So let's keep updated and let's participate. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Shalom.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye. Okay.
Adesso.